We begin this hour with a look back at the life and notoriety of OJ Simpson, the one-time NFL superstar accused of murdering his ex-wife and her friend. Simpson was later acquitted in a televised trial nearly 30 years ago that gripped the nation. Simpson's family announced yesterday that he died of cancer and that he was surrounded by his children and grandchildren in his final moments. Simpson was 76. NBC News Now anchor Kate Snow joins us now with a look back at his complicated life. And Kate, how people are reacting, frankly, to his death.
Yeah, that's right, Vicky. OJ Simpson was so many things, right? First, he was famous, then he was infamous. He was a transcendent athlete on the football field, then a beloved personality in TV, films, and commercials. But then, as you've said, there was that stain of a double murder that would follow him until his death. The news of O.J. Simpson's death brought a wide spectrum of reaction, as mixed and controversial as his life.
Is this your verdict?
Ron Goldman was murdered alongside Simpson's ex-wife Nicole Brown back in 1994. From Ron's sister Kim and father Fred, this statement: "The news of Ron's killer passing away is a mixed bag of complicated emotions. For 3 decades, we tirelessly pursued justice for Ron and Nicole, and despite a civil judgment, the hope for true accountability has ended." From Cato Kalin, OJ's famous house guest at the time of the murders.
To Fred and to Kim, I hope you find closure. And finally, to the family of the beautiful Nicole Brown Simpson, may we always cherish her memories.
Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutor in Simpson's murder trial, telling us simply, "I send my condolences to Mr. Simpson's family." Carl Douglas was one of Simpson's criminal defense attorneys.
Certainly the early part of his career is marked by great milestones, and regrettably, his legacy devolved in his later years.
Look at that touch, O.J. Simpson.
As a young athlete, O.J. Simpson was a once-in-a-generation talent, winning the Heisman Trophy at USC.
That does it. He broke the record.
Before becoming the first running back in NFL history to join the mythical 2,000-yard club in just 14 games for the Buffalo Bills. He was later inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his charisma making him a beloved TV personality, first in commercials and later on the big screen.
One of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, but all of that tainted forever and smeared by charges of being a double murderer.
Once revered, then reviled. That image of the white Broncos slowly traversing the 405 in Los Angeles is something anyone alive at the time will never forget.
And we are told by the California Highway Patrol that O.J. Simpson is in that car, holding a gun to his head.
His criminal case, known as the trial of the century,
if it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Lasted 11 months and for many was must-see TV. The murders also revealing allegations that Simpson had abused Brown. According to the AP, Brown wrote a letter alleging Simpson, quote, beat the holy hell out of her. 911 calls also emerging during the trial. Simpson pleaded no contest to spousal abuse charges in 1989, but has since denied the abuse. When Simpson was acquitted,
not guilty of the crime of murder,
the verdict exposed the racial divide in this country. But the Goldman and Brown families filed a civil suit in 1997 and won. Simpson was ordered to pay them $33.5 million, but only paid a fraction. In 2008, a Las Vegas jury found him guilty of armed robbery and kidnapping. Simpson claiming he was simply trying to recover stolen sports memorabilia. He served 9 years in prison before his release in 2017. After that, Simpson kept a low profile. Reports circulated in February that Simpson had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. In a video posted on X, he denied he'd been in hospice care.
Hospice? Hospice? You talking about hospice?
As recently as February, continuing to insist his health was good. Thursday, his family announcing he succumbed to his battle with cancer. In their statement, Simpson's family asked people to respect their wishes for privacy and grace. O.J. himself never mentioned that he was battling cancer. And Vicky, a family attorney for the Goldmans, we mentioned that civil suit and that settlement, or that money that they were owed. Right. They say now that it has ballooned to $100 million because of interest, and they say that O.J. Simpson died, quote, without penance.
Kate Snow, thank you for that look back. It really brings us right back to where we were when this all happened. For more this morning, we are joined by Pat Morrison. She's a writer and columnist at the LA Times. She was working there at the time of the murders as well and throughout that trial. Pat, thanks so much for being here with us this morning. So here we are, just 2 months shy of the 30th anniversary of the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. You were actually across the street from the murder scene in Brentwood the night they were killed. What do you remember about that night and the days that followed?
Well, by happenstance, I was at an event across the street, at a house across the street, an ACLU event a few hours before the murder. And then later that evening, I was at a charity dinner where the district attorney of Los Angeles was present as well. And we all awoke the next morning to the news of the slaughter of these two young people and the additional news that the primary suspect would turn out to be OJ Simpson, a man who ever after lived a split-screen life.
Trial, Pat, it seemed like everyone who was involved in this case, from Judge Ito to Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutor, everyone became a household name. What do you think it was about this case and the way that it unfolded that really captivated not just America, but really the world?
It carried every single element of everything that we deal with in this country, that we revere like celebrity, that we talk about like crime, race, domestic violence, which has kind of been swept under the rug a little bit. O.J. Simpson had a great relationship with the cops. He did fundraisers for them. They swam in his pool, and that's why his late wife thought that her pleas for help were ignored. So to put this all in a single courtroom, on television, wall to wall, every day, how could you not look away? How could this not be America under a microscope?
Yeah, from the Bronco chase to the last gavel when the verdict was read. Well, this trial playing out in Southern California just 3 years, by the way, after the L.A. riots. And to remind our viewers, those riots were sparked by the acquittal of 4 police officers who were on trial for the beating of Rodney King. All of it was captured on video, and they still were acquitted. So with the Simpson trial, once again, the country was divided along racial lines. What did that signify to you about the way the public processed that verdict?
In Los Angeles, there was a sense that the verdict, apart from the question of the evidence, was payback, that the mighty Los Angeles Police Department, whose officers had been acquitted of the beating of Rodney King, was finally getting humbled in this courtroom and getting the justice that it deserved after how it had been policing the Black community for decades. And so all of this passion that broke during the trial and then with the verdict ended up, of course, over the years, changing Los Angeles, changing the police department as well.
And changing the way we cover court cases. O.J. Simpson, as we saw in Kate's piece just now, Pat, he was one of the most popular personalities of his time, from his career at USC, an incredible standout football star, goes on to the NFL, then has this successful career in television, movies. He is eventually acquitted of these murder charges, but Simpson never really returned to the public eye in a positive way. So here we are at the end of 76 years. Pat, what do you think the legacy of O.J. Simpson is?
I think O.J.'s legacy concerns were always that the murder charges, even with the acquittal, would be at the top of his obituary. And that's why I say it was a split-screen life, because he had this glamorous, successful, extraordinary achievement, which came crashing down. And after the acquittal, in spite of it, he was never welcomed back into the circles that he had lived in before. He was a pariah. He had a huge judgment hanging over his head from the civil case. And so O.J. 2.0 was a very different man from the original O.J. And I think the country watched him as almost a Greek tragedy to see what had happened in consequence.
Yeah, revered, then reviled. Pat Morrison, thank you so much for your time and perspective this morning. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Now to the fallout surrounding the Arizona Supreme Court's near-total abortion ban. Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to hold an event focused on reproductive treatment in Tucson later today, while President Biden's campaign ramps up its campaign blitz, zeroing in on former President Trump's record on abortion. NBC News Now anchor Holly Jackson has the very latest.
A new aggressive push from the president.
If Donald Trump gets back in power, what freedom will you lose next?
A new ad blitz pinning the blame on his predecessor for Arizona's controversial abortion ban.
Your body and your decisions belong to you, not the government, not Donald Trump. I will fight like hell to get your freedom back.
On the Arizona ruling that reinstates an 1864 law banning nearly all abortions, with the exception of those to save the mother's life, the Biden campaign's looking to put Republicans on defense, as Mr. Trump acknowledges Democrats have the political advantage.
The only issue they have, the only issue they think they have is on abortion. And now all I say is the states are handling it.
The former president accusing Democrats of trying to distract from the economy and immigration, both consistently the most important issue for voters, with polls showing Americans prefer Mr. Trump to President Biden by about 20 points on the economy, 30 points on the border. Even though Mr. Trump opposes the Arizona abortion ban and a national ban, he's also taking credit for the overturning of Roe versus Wade, a decision which paved the way for very restrictive, broadly unpopular abortion limits. He and other Republicans now trying to thread the needle, including Arizona's Kari Lake.
A full ban on abortion is not where the people are. The issue is less about banning abortion and more about saving babies.
For the ban's opponents in Arizona, anger turning to action. You say you're ready to do whatever it takes to get the ban repealed, but how?
I immediately called for the repeal of this ban, and I'm going to continue to do that. I think a lot of Republicans are seeing that this is going to hurt them in the election.
And state lawmakers could pass a repeal as early as next week before the ban's set to go into effect later this spring. Back to you.
Hallie Jackson, thank you. The first criminal trial of a former president is set to begin on Monday. The case centers around a hush money payment allegedly arranged by Donald Trump to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. But how did we get here? NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian breaks down what you need to remember.
The Trump hush money case is the first of 4 criminal cases to move to trial. Former President Donald Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsifying records in the first degree. But Trump is not the only one involved. Michael Cohen will likely be the star witness in the hush money case. He was Donald Trump's lawyer and fixer, and on August 21st, 2018, he pled guilty to 8 counts in Manhattan federal court. And Cohen alleged in a court of law, Donald Trump directed him to make illegal payments to influence the 2016 election, which Trump denies.
I did it at the direction of and for the benefit of Donald J. Trump.
Cohen was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Cohen alleges he orchestrated payoffs to 2 women who said they had affairs with Donald Trump, including Stormy Daniels. He says he sought reimbursement from Trump and even recorded one of their conversations about it. The FBI seized that tape during a raid on Cohen's residence and office. Cohen's attorney released it to the media. Adult film actress Stormy Daniels, also known as Stephanie Clifford, says she met Donald Trump in 2006 at a celebrity golf tournament when he was the host of The Apprentice.
Who loves The Apprentice?
Stormy says they had sex that night, and he offered to cast her in The Apprentice, which Trump denies. In 2011, the story leaked. Stormy says she gave an interview to a tabloid magazine for $15,000. It remained unpublished until 2018. But 2 years earlier, when Donald Trump was running for president, a tape from Access Hollywood,
We're ready. Let's go.
leaked, which prosecutors say caused panic within the Trump campaign. 2 weeks later, Stormy Daniels was paid $130,000 by Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen. Karen McDougal is an ex-Playboy model and says she had an affair with Donald Trump. They allegedly met in 2006 at the Playboy Mansion, and she says they dated for nearly a year. Donald Trump denies they had a relationship. In 2016, when Donald Trump received the Republican nomination, McDougal's story leaked. AMI, the owner of the National Enquirer, offered her $150,000.
They wanted to squash the story.
Michael Cohen says he orchestrated the deal for AMI to buy McDougal's story, but never publish it, to help Trump in the 2016 election. Allegations Trump denies. Alan Weisselberg was the Trump Organization's chief financial officer. He was mentioned several times in Michael Cohen's recording as being a part of the hush money plot.
And I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up.
In July of 2021, Alan Weisselberg and the Trump Corporation were indicted for scheming to defraud tax authorities at the federal, state, and local level. He was sentenced to 5 months in prison and agreed to plead guilty and be a witness against the Trump Organization.
They're looking to squeeze him again still to possibly get to Donald Trump.
On March 4th, 2024, Alan Weisselberg pled guilty to perjury and lying under oath in the Trump civil fraud case, a deal that sends him back to prison but does not require him to testify in the hush money case. He's not been charged in that case. He's currently serving 5 months in prison. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and his team are the prosecutors in the trial. Bragg is a Harvard-educated Democrat and former Assistant Attorney General of New York. On December 6th, 2022, DA Bragg secured the conviction of the Trump Corporation and the Payroll Corporation for conspiracy, criminal tax fraud, and falsifying business records.
The focus in the last 24 hours has been almost exclusively on Trump.
Then on March 30th, 2023, Donald Trump was indicted by DA Alvin Bragg in a Manhattan court. Days later, he was arraigned.
Our thanks to Yasmin Vasugian for that report. Jury selection in the hush money trial is set to begin Monday. We want to turn now to Israel, where staff members at the U.S. Embassy have been issued a travel warning as officials prepare for a potential attack from Iran. This comes after 7 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard were killed in an airstrike on the embassy in Syria. NBC News correspondent Hala Garani is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Well, almost 2 weeks since that attack on the Iranian embassy compound in Damascus, we are still bracing for a possible response from Tehran. New warnings for Americans in Israel this morning. The State Department telling U.S. Embassy employees and their families to restrict their personal travel between 3 major cities, as Israel braces for a possible attack from Iran that has U.S. intelligence officials concerned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also speaking out Thursday, saying in the midst of the war in Gaza, quote, his country was also prepared for scenarios involving challenges in other sectors. The fears of fallout coming after that attack on Iran's embassy compound in Damascus, widely attributed to Israel. Iran's supreme leader saying this week an attack on his country's diplomatic missions is comparable to an assault on Iran itself. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said, the wicked regime made a mistake in this case. It must be punished, and it will be punished. The U.S. has been signaling its support to Israel despite recent criticism of the war in Gaza. A top American general traveling there as concern rises of a wider conflict involving Iran and its proxies. In the U.S., intelligence agencies are keeping a close eye on whether developments in the Middle East could be cause for worry domestically.
Our most immediate concern has been that individuals or small groups will draw some kind of twisted inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks here at home.
While back in Israel, the defense minister has warned of, quote, an appropriate response if Iran attacks Israeli territory. The UK Foreign Secretary called his Iranian counterpart, urging restraint as the entire region remains on edge.
Hala Garani, thank you so much. More rain for the Northeast this morning while the West Coast braces for their next storm. Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us now with your Morning News Now weather. Hey, Angie.
Hey there, Vicki. You are exactly right. We've got the rain across parts of the Northeast and stretching out towards the Great Lakes. This is from that same system that's been wreaking havoc across the country over the past couple of days. We saw tornadoes from it. We, of course, have seen ample amounts of rain, and we're going to continue dealing with the rain across this region for the rest of today. We'll slowly start to see that system working out, and improvements will be seen here as we get closer to the end of your weekend. One thing to note, though, on top of the heavy rain, we're also going to see the potential for some melting snow. This is why we're watching for the flooding potential, specifically in parts of northern New England here as we get through the day today and potentially into tomorrow. Rainfall totals, not all that impressive, but again, with that melting snow could be problematic. The wind, something that a lot of folks noticed probably yesterday, and you're going to continue to notice that today. We've got 36 million people under these wind alerts right now, wind advisories specifically across parts of the Great Lakes, the Appalachians, and the Northeast. And notice why. Wind gusts 40, 45 miles per hour. In New York, we're expecting peak wind gusts close to 50 miles per hour through the day today. So those gusty conditions are here to stay for one more day. Then the system will start to kick out of here, and we'll be looking at some nicer conditions on the backside of that. We actually will be dealing with the system working into parts of Canada. By the time we get into Sunday, this is when the real improvement happens for most of us. We'll see some lingering showers across New England, but most folks from the Great Lakes down to the Mid-Atlantic will see some nicer conditions, and it'll be fairly mild too. Big picture look for your Saturday. Nice conditions for the middle of the country, especially. It'll feel like summer in some of these spots. We've got the Central Plains tapping into temperatures into the 80s and 90s. We'll see the West Coast, though, have that next storm system that works on shore today and into tomorrow, and that's when we'll be watching, of course, for some additional snow. Big picture look, Boston Marathon, though,
wow,
Vicki,
yeah.
looks great. Temperatures
Good.
into the 60s by 3 p.m. and plenty of sunshine.
Oh, that's perfect running weather. Not that I would know firsthand as a non-runner, but so I hear.
So I hear as well.
All right, thank you, Angie Lassman. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.